Welcome back. So last time, we saw Osman Bey pull off that incredible rescue, getting his sons Alaeddin and Orhan back from the Mongols. A huge moment.
Huge is right. And for you, if you're trying to really get the heart of what's unfolding without drowning in details, well, that's what we're doing today, this rescue. It's not just relief, it actually sparks a whole new set of problems. Immediate dangers, internal conflicts bubbling up, and yeah, big personal challenges for Osman.
Exactly. It's like you win the battle, but instead of a party, everyone's suddenly looking over their shoulder wondering what comes next.
Yeah.
We've gone through our sources, the metin.txt excerpts, to really unpack this ripple effect. So what's the absolute first threat staring them down?
Well, number one has got to be Mongol retaliation. I mean, losing prisoners, especially Osman's sons, that's a major humiliation for them. And knowing the Mongols, how they operate, they don't take that lightly. The text strongly suggests we should brace for, a bigger, maybe nastier response.
Okay, right. So winning actually poked the bear, in a way.
Yeah.
What's Osman doing about it, immediately?
The sources point to him basically going into high alert, fortifying everything, getting the Alps ready. There's this really strong line mentioned, Gairi Cenk Vaktidir.
It is time for war.
Exactly. It just tells you everything. Osman knows this isn't over. If anything, it's maybe just the start of something much tougher.
And speaking of getting ready, Turgut Alp is back. That always feels significant when he shows up. How does his return change things on the ground, militarily speaking?
Oh, massively. Turgut's experience is, well, invaluable. The texts hint he might be bringing in some new tactics. Maybe more complex ambushes, perhaps stronger defensive setups for dealing with heavy assaults, possibly even using the cavalry in more flexible ways. His perspective could be key against the Mongols, who can be pretty unpredictable.
Yeah, bringing in the veteran makes total sense. What about the intel side? Conor Alp's still on that, right?
Oh, yeah. Conor's focus, according to what we've seen, is on the Byzantine side right now. Specifically, he's looking for weak points in their supply chains.
Logistics.
Exactly. If they can disrupt those supplies, that's a huge advantage. It weakens the Byzantines, obviously, but also maybe any Mongol forces relying on those same resources.
Okay, so while they're watching the Mongols, things are also heating up inside the Byzantine territories. Brusa keeps coming up.
Brusa is definitely a flashpoint. You've got this figure, Claudius, who's apparently openly challenging the emperor. He wants to make Brusa great again, so to speak, and that puts him right up against Sophia's loyalists.
Claudius, he's the Tekfur there, right? The governor?
That seems to be his position, yeah. And he's using that power base to push back against Sophia, who, represents the central authority. It's creating serious friction.
And how does that mess within the Byzantine ranks help Osman? I mean, does it create an opening?
It absolutely could. Think about it. If they're fighting amongst themselves, their control weakens. They can't coordinate properly to stop Osman's expansion. It divides their attention, their resources. Definitely an opportunity for Osman.
But this Claudius guy, he's described as dangerous, unpredictable too. So, okay, he's causing trouble to the Byzantines now, but couldn't he become Osman's problem later?
That's the risk, isn't it? Right now, his defiance is useful. It distracts the Byzantines. But if Claudius actually manages to consolidate power in Brusa, his ambition, his volatility, yeah, he could absolutely become a major, unpredictable headache for Osman down the line. It's one of those situations where a short-term gain might hide a long-term threat.
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy isn't always my friend forever. Okay, let's shift focus a bit to Osman himself. The sources also mention the personal side of things, especially with Bala Hatun.
Yes, definitely. Beyond all the battles and politics, there's a real human cost. Getting the boys back, that whole ordeal, it was incredibly stressful. Bala was right in the thick of it. The text suggests we might see more of how that affects Osman psychologically. That constant pull between being the leader, the father, the husband, it's a lot.
And maybe some quieter moments between them, to show that bond still holding strong through all this.
Exactly. Those moments would really ground the story, wouldn't they? Remind us, and maybe remind Osman what he's fighting for, his family, his people, but it also maybe shows vulnerabilities, things that could be tested later.
Now, speaking of family and future, this is big. The departure of Orhan Bey and Nilüfer Hatun in episode 191, that feels like a major plot twist.
It's huge. I mean, Orhan is the heir apparent. His leaving with Nilüfer, that throws a massive wrench into the works for the Bialazi's future. Succession suddenly becomes a very open question. What does this mean for Osman's plans?
And the sources don't make it clear why they left. It could be politics, tragedy, maybe they just left.
Right, the ambiguity seems intentional. It leaves everyone, including Osman presumably, guessing. And you have to think about Bala Hatun in this too. Her potential worries about Orhan, her stepson, and what this means for the family's legacy, especially since he was the designated successor. It adds another layer of complexity.
Wow, okay, so Osman's juggling Mongol threats, Byzantine's infighting, and now this massive question mark over his succession plan and his own son. You start to wonder if he's spreading himself too thin.
That's a really important point. The sources do kind of highlight this pattern in the show, right? Where small problems tend to snowball into big crises. And yeah, there's a definite risk here, trying to fight the Mongols and manage the Byzantines. Could he overextend himself, get caught off guard somewhere?
And looking underneath all this, you have the influence of the women, right? Malhun Hatun, Orhan's mother, and Bala Hatun, Aladdin's mother, their sons are potential future leaders.
Absolutely. Their hopes, their fears for Orhan and Aladdin. That's likely going to become much more prominent. The text suggests we might start seeing the early signs of, well, maybe not factions yet, but definitely power dynamics forming around each mother-son pair. What starts as quiet support could easily become rivalry, especially now with Orhan gone. Episode 191 might just blow the lid off those simmering tensions.
It really feels like we're building towards something significant. And this theme of sacrifice, it seems woven into the fabric of Kuruluş Osman.
It really is. The show consistently portrays state building as coming at a deep personal cost. And the sources hint that Osman might be heading towards another one of those moments, a point where he has to make a really profound sacrifice, maybe emotional, maybe personal, maybe even ideological, to keep his vision moving forward.
What kind of sacrifice are we talking? The source mentions breaking ties, tough calls, even losing someone close. That sounds intense.
It does, and it just highlights the incredible weight on his shoulders. It could also involve a kind of moral crossroads, a real challenge to his core beliefs. Is the pursuit of power making him too harsh? Is he still following the path Ertugrul Ghazi laid out? Those questions might come to the forefront.
Could we see someone like Sheikh Edebali return then? For guidance? Or maybe even to critique Osman's choices?
It's definitely possible. Having those spiritual figures reappear could act as a moral anchor, reminding Osman of his foundations. You could imagine a really powerful conversation happening there, something that helps him navigate these challenges and think about, well, what comes after him?
It's not just about the leaders, though, is it? The sources seem to suggest a shift towards focusing more on the ordinary people, too.
Exactly right. As the state grows, you need more than just warriors. The villagers, the craftsmen, the scholars, they become the bedrock. We might see Osman interacting with them more directly, maybe during a crisis, maybe in a big speech. It signaled that shift, from just a tribal chief to a true statesman looking after a whole society.
And maybe even symbolic acts, like building something permanent.
Yeah, the idea of laying a foundation stone for a school, a mosque, a council building that sends a powerful message. It's about permanence, about building a civilization, not just fighting battles. It's a really stark contrast to the other images we get. Destroyed, villages, betrayals, losing friends. It captures that tension between creation and destruction perfectly.
It sounds like episode 191 might end not with a big fight, but maybe something more internal. Like a question hanging in the air for Osman.
That feels plausible, doesn't it? Instead of just action, maybe we're left with a moment of doubt or a decision delayed, something that really makes you, the viewer, think about the sheer cost of Osman's dream.
So pulling it all together then, we've got rising military threats from outside, serious internal divisions among the Byzantines, deep personal struggles for Osman, this shocking departure shaking up succession plans, and all of it points towards future conflicts and maybe some really tough choices ahead.
That's a great summary. You really have a much clearer picture now of just how complex and dangerous the situation is for Osman Bey right after getting his sons back. It's anything but simple.
And it definitely leaves us chewing on some big questions, like, will Osman's trust be betrayed from within? Could Orhan or Aladdin's choices completely change the game for the BLA? And is all this pressure cooker situation just the calm before an even bigger storm that really tests Osman to his absolute limits?
Those are exactly the questions to keep in mind. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. Thanks for diving deep with us today.